Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to another episode of Marketing Insights. And today's episode is a crypto marketing insights episode. We are going to be talking about not just the overall market review real quick. We are also going to look at a couple of interesting use cases that are happening that are affecting crypto marketing significantly, or that are set to affect crypto marketing significantly. So let's dive right in. But before we do, just to remind you, this show is for entertainment purposes only. And do your own research. Do not invest in anything that you do not understand fully and that you're not willing to risk and lose everything, because that's how investments go. And of course, do not take investments from just somebody you listen to or watch on YouTube. Always make sound investment decisions with proper, comprehensive research. Right? I'm not responsible for your actions or your investments. You are. And I'm not a financial advisor. And I'm not giving you financial advice. Okay, so that's said. Let's jump right in. God, I wish there was a bubble I could put that all in. Anyway, top currencies by market. You can see the market is sitting at 121 billion for the day and is looking at a 52.6% market dominance by Bitcoin, which means that it's gone down a couple of tenths of a percent since yesterday, but it's basically been between 53 and 52.5% for the past week or so, and we still see the new level of the prices are staying relatively stable for Bitcoin. A moderately green day across the board. Nothing amazing to write home about, but we do see, some gains here and there, all over the place. If you want to actually look at the actual winners, the gainers and lunars, you can see the big gainers of the day are the Midas Touch Gold. Look at that, 75% gain. Marginless, 72.94% gain. Soma, 47.84. Proton token, 41.24. And Maximine coin at 33.33%. So that's the top five of those biggest gainers of the day. Honestly, I do not hold any of those. I don't know anybody who does, but if you do, I'd love to hear from you guys about that, what you think. And overall the market is basically very, very steady. I'm not going to do any technical stuff. Just a quick look at, if you were to look at the market sentiment overall, you could see right here on the Enroid site, which is a really great site. I've been checking it out more and more, and it does seem to have it does seem to have accurate numbers so far as I can tell, accurate predictions. So it's pretty good, and accurate reads on the market. Right now we're seeing, the Bitcoin market is basically negative overall. The feeling is it's going to fall, right? But when, of course, the herd all says it's going to fall, sometimes it can do the exact opposite, right? Because everyone's expecting it to fall. Maybe it's going to fall a little bit, and then everyone's buy orders will be in, and in doing so, it'll shoot back up again. You never know. Could happen. Could also fall. XRP, people are feeling very positive about. Cardano as well. Stellar as well. And this despite all of these, basically the overall downfall in the market so far over the past, 13 months or so, 14 months. But that is, the sentiment is very negative on Bitcoin, Litecoin, basically. And it's unusual that it's negative on Litecoin, since Litecoin led this latest little rally upon news that they were maybe going to implement some privacy or anonymous features. And now, and we're seeing negative sentiment across a lot of the mentions and social channels and websites, articles. So we can see there that despite the positive news and price action that they had the past 5 days or so, overall, the feeling is negative or very negative or neutral. So basically, overall is very negative for Litecoin. And of course, this isn't an exact predictor or reader, but it is a pretty good general indicator of what the noise is like on well-established channels that it tracks. So I think it's fair to say that that's a pretty accurate reading of the way I'm seeing right now, the way what I'm hearing anyway in my bubble of influence, or whatever you want to call it. That we all have our own, and in the one I'm sitting in, I do tend to see that the market is pretty negative for the most established brands, and slightly more positive for the newer ones. But overall, even the newer ones suffer at the hands of the fact that Bitcoin's sentiment is down, and that's really clearly the market leader. So when that is down, it has a general effect upon everyone, even others that are doing well. Which is interesting. And here in the predictions, we're looking at, let's just look at the Bitcoin prediction. We can look at others too, if you want to mention that you're, all right. So let's just take a look real quickly here. Look at the price estimate. So long-term price prediction, as we're seeing a rising price here in the prediction, right? From where we are now, it could dip a little in the next day or two, but rising price prediction. But if you look at where it's at, right, we're not at these levels of 2,800, right? So will it dip to 2,800 tomorrow today? Well, we're not there, right? We're not at 2,800. We just saw. Come on, load this page, please. I really don't want to spend too much time on price prediction, but I think it's important to show the usefulness of a tool like Enroid. Right. So right now, price is at 36.39, and right now, Enroid says that we are. You see that? We are actually 6.39. So we are beating the odds effectively, because Enroid predicts that we should be below, pretty much, there's an 85% chance we should be below our current score, right? And their mean prediction right here is 28.34 for today. But that's not where we are, right? That's the long-term prediction. But still, where we are, we're far off from that. So they're not always accurate, right? But it's a good indicator, I find, overall, to see where the prices are in relationship to their predictions, and then make a delta of that graph if you're interested in looking at how sentiment and price can correlate and then impact your marketing story. So your content marketing or your storyline marketing, can be synchronized with the efforts that you're doing on the market side. So that way, you're not wasting energy telling the wrong story at the wrong time. You're focusing the right energy on the right story at the right time. That's how you have to do these things. At a later part of the cycle, of course, it depends on how fast it takes you to get time to market on your deliverables, from your content to your product to your support and everything else. So if it takes you a longer time period, you need to project out further. Obviously do that. You can't necessarily, you can't rely, like I said, on free tools like Android, but there are other tools for predicting things. This is just a great free one, and anyone can access it. It's good to go over and show it. But if you look here overall, it's a fairly short time period. And, if you want to get more, I guess, depth to predictive tools like this, first of all, understand that any kind of prediction that's further out than a few months is already, in the crypto market, is already pretty much a gamble, right? Or pretty much a very wild guess, because you can't really predict that to the day a few months out. It's really difficult. But let's say you can get within a rough channel of accuracy, plus or minus 10% or 20%. That's still pretty good. And, it has to get better, of course, over time with more machine learning, understanding predictions better, but you also need more history of the coins themselves to get better predictive measurements. But in any case, if you're doing something that requires a month or 2 months of outward thinking, where you can do a campaign in 1 to 2 months of some kind, at least to start a campaign, right? Let's say you're doing something that requires 6 to 12 months of marketing, but you do it in phases. So your first phase might be within a month or two. So this gives you a sense of the sentiment and the direction that things are going, and it can help you adjust your storyline, your content definitions, your where you're filling in the blanks for the the arc that you need to tell to get your product or your service out there to the right audiences, right? So this lets you, for example, if you're at a high time, if let's say the bubble is now moving upwards according to this prediction, for the long-term prediction for the next week or two, if that prediction is correct, then within a couple of weeks you're going to have slightly better sentiment, and you can take advantage of that by having stories in place now that are set for when people have a better sentiment about it. So you can give them options like things to buy, where to buy, things to to go splurge a little bit, have fun with your Bitcoin or whatever, or with your marketing project, whatever you're selling them. Promote things that they can actively do with their crypto at that time. So it means you get the stories out now, even possibly, hopefully you would have gotten them out beforehand, right? If you look at this cycle earlier on, and you can see that the next low is coming after that, and it's going to slightly dip after that in theory. And if it does, then by around the end of March, beginning of April, what you'll want to do is to have stories prepared for, when times, like when you're trying to save a bit of money, which is a perfect timing because that's 2 weeks before taxes, right? You can see that's a great time if this predictive chart remains correct, or becomes correct, I guess. Then, and by the way, this blue line isn't the exact prediction. This is the mean prediction, right? So we are within their range of predictability. It's just that we're a bit down from where they predicted it, let's just say. But so we are within the range of predictability, which means so far this range is pretty good. And so for when you're preparing for highs, think of the content you're going to prepare for the kind of market highs and better sentiment. So when you're preparing for things going down, think of ways you can prepare content that are going to help people think about how to survive and thrive when markets dip, or when economic times get a little bit tighter or whatever. Think in cycles like that when you know that the market cycles are going up or down in certain patterns. Even if you don't know exact prices of the day, as a marketer, it's really not a concern to worry about the price action of a Bitcoin or an XRP. It's your concern to worry about how to tell the story of the product or brand that you're marketing that hopefully uses a crypto or a blockchain solution. And even if you don't, even if you're just marketing a traditional product or service, this is still relevant because you can still use other predictive tools. Like I said, there are many other predictive tools. Well, this one is particularly about crypto because we're talking about crypto today. But in traditional markets, there are clearly other predictive tools, many of them. Some free, some not. And you should definitely be using predictive analytics work for you, right? There's many APIs you can work with to deal with automating functions. So if you know that the markets are moving a certain way according to predictive analytics, you could have not content generated automatically, but you could have like lists of things prepared for you that you can follow up on and execute quickly. That, for example, it can tell you what content to make, and then you create that content. Or it could tell you what packages to put on sale and what packages to put off, take off of sale. You can use all kinds of predictive methods for price control, price elasticity. There's a number of great tools out there. And so anyway, on the crypto side, right, I've mentioned now this predictive tool. I'm going to step away from the prices and dip up into what I think is really the first of the three main big stories that are worthy of mentioning today for crypto marketing insights. I know there's a lot going on in the market. There's no shortage of news. We're not going to try to cover everything. There's some really great channels out there that try to cover a lot more in every episode. And while we enjoy doing many topics at the same time, I think it's much better to focus each video on as few topics as possible and just really look at if there's really big things happening that are relevant to our sphere. So in the world of crypto marketing, the fact that we're seeing now the first U.S. public pension invest $40 million into a cryptocurrency fund, okay, that is a huge deal for crypto marketing. And here's why. Okay, so there's this company called Morgan Creek Digital, right, which is a VC fund that handles, I think $1 billion or something like that. They manage quite a significant chunk of money, and they are now the first fund to ever involve a U.S. pension fund with cryptocurrencies. Okay, and while $40 million may not sound like a lot for a company that manages over $1 billion, the fact is, by putting this pension fund, which is the Fairfax County Employees and Fairfax County Police Pension Plans, those are two of the largest investors in the fund. By putting their pension funds tied in some way to crypto, shows the significance of crypto being an alternative investment vehicle, even for people who are, in really traditional investment markets, pension funds, right? And, for government employees, right, county employees and police employees, for those government employees to be investing any of their future into crypto tells you the direction that we're heading with marketing crypto. Like, we're not just talking about whether or not crypto is going to happen and whether or not the government will allow it. This is a U.S. government-sanctioned pension fund. Game over, right? Like, they've just handed the fact, and this isn't the first time, to the world of cryptocurrencies, that you are now the future investment, potentially huge new star baby thing that we are adopting for the future benefit of our government employees who work for a government that operates the world's reserve fiat currency, and we're now going to give them the benefit of money that isn't the dollar. Right? That's not a tiny bit of news. I think anyone can agree that's actually significant. That's not going to just, disappear in the stories as something no one ever cared about. This will grow over time. You now have people looking forward to retiring and getting some of their money from cryptocurrency. And those people work for the U.S. government. Okay. 10 years ago, Bitcoin didn't exist. Let me remind you, or 11 years ago now. 11 years ago, crypto didn't exist. Cryptocurrency, or Bitcoin didn't exist. Now, U.S. government employees are literally going to be reaping the benefits of cryptocurrencies when they retire. And the government is backing it. So like we always said, this isn't going to be a thing where one day no one cares about it and the next day everyone uses it. This is a slippery slope. And it's a good one. This is a growing mountain. This is an oncoming avalanche. You can't stop it. This is happening step by step by step by step. One day it will be that maybe you don't know about it and the next day you're using it like crazy. But the whole world in general is going to do this step by step by step by step. And for each person, it will be one day they don't know, the next day they do. Right? So yes, it is a wake-up moment. And yes, it's a protracted wake-up moment. And it will take years and years for everyone to wake up to it. But it is happening. And it's happening at not insignificant sizes already. We're talking about employees by the thousands putting their investment pensions And we're talking about way more than that and other things. In institutional investments looking for millions of clients. Fidelity's got, I don't know, what, 60 million clients or something like that. And of them, maybe a third or a half are brokerage accounts as well. Or I don't know if that's additional, but it would seem like maybe of the overall. Anyway, so let's say they got 60 million accounts. Even 50. Call it 50 for easy math. That means that if every one of their Fidelity accounts wanted a Bitcoin, clearly they could not sell them all a Bitcoin. Right? The same thing's happening everywhere. And remember, if even just half of Fidelity's accounts wanted a Bitcoin, they couldn't all get a Bitcoin because there's only 21 million max supply. And we know that a good 20% of them are gone forever, right? So, or at least inaccessible. And so even if there was 21 million, and there's 25 million people in Fidelity alone who want a Bitcoin each, they can't get one. Even if there was 21 million and only half the people only 10 million from Fidelity wanted a Bitcoin, they couldn't get one. You know why? There's not 10 million available right now. If you remove all the ones that are being held and are just not for sale, there's not 10 million Bitcoin available right now. And that's one trading desk, Fidelity, which is when it launches, may start selling some serious amounts of crypto. But there's other trading desks, right, and other institutions. And now we have a pension fund where people, again, they're going to retire and enjoy the fruits of their labor working for the U.S. government that enforced by threat of violence the fiat centralized U.S. dollar. And those people are going to reap their rewards for defending that dollar with cryptocurrency benefits. Okay, so this isn't a small thing, right? This is massive. And here you can see Mr. Pompliano, a well-known Bitcoin guy, well-known promoter of crypto, said in a tweet, "The morning our team at Morgan Creek Digital announced a new 40 million, this morning, our team at Morgan Creek Digital announced a new $40 million crypto venture fund anchored by 2 public pensions. The institutions aren't coming. They're already here." Okay? I think that says it very well, because if you know anything about how this market has been moving over the past number of years, it's basically been run by a bunch of very inspired people in non-traditional ways, pushing on the bleeding edge to do things that were unusual, untried, untested, to build a new ecosystem and new market. And now you have rock-solid traditional models of investment vehicles, very stable and steady investment vehicles, pension funds, right? Stable money for retirees, right? That's what it's supposed to be. Now you have them putting money in crypto. Again, this isn't going to be today, tomorrow. This is going to be today, 10 years from now. Today, 15 years from now. And the world will be very different. And you will, not be likely to buy coffee in euros or dollars or yen or whatever. You will be very likely to be buying it in Bitcoin or XRP or Litecoin or Ethereum or whatever coin you like. Doesn't matter. There's a good chance you'll be buying it in crypto. So I wanted to bring that story to your attention and to remind you, marketing is a long arc as well. There's some short-term gains. There's some low-hanging fruits you can always go after. But long-term strategic thinkers in marketing always see the bigger picture and understand that this story arc will take years and there will be ups and downs along the way. And eventually we will be in a much higher place than we are now, just like this market has always done so far. And it is going to continue to grow for very obvious reasons, despite all the naysayers, including those who are Bitcoin OGers and the like, who, with lots of evidence, can demonstrate why coins are useless, because you can't buy stuff with them anywhere. They're totally useless. Nobody's going to use them. Why would you use them when they're slow and basically not reliable, unless you need political censorship protection? Okay, well, I think that that's right there a big enough issue for a lot of people to use them, but I also think that convenience and speed and transportability and everything else are virtues worthy of consideration when thinking about whether or not to buy things with crypto. And I'm not the only one that thinks that. So let's move on to our next story and check this out. It turns out payments giant Western Union preparing for crypto, tests Ripple and XRP. This story coming to you from the Daily Hodl. As always, all the stories and links are in the descriptions, so check out the descriptions below for the links. Western Union is testing crypto, preparing crypto to be used in their systems. Right? They're preparing to use crypto at Western Union. What is Western Union? For those of you who don't know, Western Union is a company that helps you send money from one place to another, and there are literally millions of people around the world who use Western Union every week or month to send money back home to loved ones when they are working overseas. And these international remittances make Western Union a very wealthy company indeed, because they charge a significant chunk of money for that service. And now they're using XRP. In case you don't know, XRP, which is a cryptocurrency created by Ripple, which is a software company that provides payment solutions. Okay, Ripple and XRP basically are the nemesis of companies like Western Union and Swift, whom charge a fortune from people to transfer money. Whereas XRP, the fee on XRP for transferring millions of dollars even is like a penny, even less sometimes. Right? So you're going to transfer a few $100 here and there, or a few $1,000. It's going to cost you practically nothing. Right? I don't care if you like XRP or Ripple or not. This isn't what this discussion is about. From a marketing point of view, Ripple has transformed the notion of international remittances from being this thing that is by default very expensive and slow and cumbersome and full of problems into something that is lightning fast. Literally takes seconds to send messages around the world, to send money around the world. Costs fractions of a penny, right, to send practically any amount that any real consumer is ever going to send, except for huge banks and huge investors. And even that, it's never going to cost you more than a couple pennies. And that's if you send billions of dollars, right? And it happens instantly. And you can get it in whatever currency you prefer. So if you trade in dollars and your client buys in euros, no problem. It's going to happen. And your banks don't have to have their money frozen in Nostro Vostro accounts. Whether or not that's a thing, you can debate that yourself. Whether or not that causes more liquidity availability for the banks, you can debate that amongst yourselves. But the fact is, this is reducing greatly the amount of money, in theory, that anybody should have to spend to send money to the recipient. Will the banks actually keep charging that same fee and just find some other way to excuse it? Yeah, it could happen. Will there be some banks, new services that will let you use XRP to send money and you don't have to have a bank account with them even? Maybe it's just a service like Western Union, like they're testing, right? And they'll have to therefore lower their fees, because if not, you'll just go to the competitor who has lower fees. Probably. But long term, XRP is winning over literally the competition. I don't know how long those competition companies, those competitors, are going to be able to stay in competition unless they really offer some other premium value added services. Because if not, there's no reason the customer couldn't just go buy some XRP on their own and use that to send to their loved ones and let their loved ones convert it to whatever currency they want. Or they could buy other cryptocurrencies. But the point is, this is obviously going to gain popularity as more and more people who, let's say, don't have the time to bother to learn about crypto, at least not yet, but they do have the time to go to Western Union every month, they're going to start hopefully seeing some savings on their transfer fees. And if not, at least maybe if they're still spending the same amount of money, but the bank, or Western Union is saving more money, maybe at least Western Union can somehow give them some other kind of value add, which would be the smart thing for Western Union to do. So you don't cause disdain with your customers, who would very likely be upset if they knew that the prices are actually lower for Western Union now, but Western Union didn't do anything about it. So it's okay if you keep the prices the same, but you should give them some serious value adds if they're paying $25 for nothing, right? Or give them some of that money back. Make them feel valued. Show them that you care, that they're not wasting their money. Maybe give them all that money back that they don't need. But of course you're not going to do that because you're a huge company, Western Union, and you need to survive and all that. And you think that you can keep charging more money than probably is worth. But for now, I'm sure that'll work great, until crypto is really everywhere. But we will see increasingly cases like this where now Western Union using XRP, right? Again, you're going to see it inevitably happen that they are going to have to either lower their prices or shut down or offer some kind of value add. Because you can't stay the same when the market is changing all around you. You can't just stay and hope that everything will be all right. Because if you offer the worst product for the most expensive price without a value add, who's going to want that? We've seen time and again through history that doesn't work. The only way that works is if it's state-funded by an extremely wealthy or well-to-do, state that can afford the loss. It doesn't care about it. And subsidized just through the entire competition's history. There's nothing the competition can do about it. That's the only time that works. Right? Either state-funded or backed by some ultra-wealthy person who just doesn't care about the competition and will just buy it out or see it through to the end by just competing them out of the business, even if their product is worse. Right? We've seen that happen. Very rarely. Most chances are any company that offers a worse product at a higher price without a value add that's better than the competition, those companies will eventually fade away and go out of business if they don't change their ways. So Western Union, if they're smart, which they appear to be somewhat, right? I mean, they know how to make money, that's for sure, and they've been doing it for a long time. They're not stupid. They're not ignoring crypto, but they're not predicting whether or not they're going to be using crypto in the long term. And they're not not committed yet to doing all crypto all the time. And they're also not committing to this saving anybody any money, which tells you they're not going to lower their prices at first because they don't want to, right? They want to make more money without having to charge you more. And then they'll charge you more over time and you'll be used to that or whatever, or they'll, whatever they charge you in the future will be based on the benchmark of, well, even when we switched to crypto, we didn't lower our prices. But that isn't the kind of thinking that will see them through long term once competitors come up with, hey, you can now transfer money to your relatives for nothing, for like a thousandth of a penny, click here. And those apps already exist, wallet exchanges and the like, and they're just going to become more and more popular and convenient. And once those are really popular and convenient, it's easy to send anybody any kind of money you want, whether it's Bitcoin or XRP or anything else. Again, those tools already exist. And somehow Western Union is still in business, but they are. And Swift is still in business, but they are. And why? Because not everybody accepts crypto, right? Well, how do we get more people to accept crypto? Well, okay, let's check this out. Now we've got Mainstream Crypto Boost, another story from Daily Hodl. Spend app supports Litecoin for over 40 million merchants. Okay, we'll be right back. All right, and we're back. Sometimes you feel like grabbing a coffee and then you find out there's no coffee. Well, anyway, crypto adoption is happening, and we can see it here with the fact that there are now over 40 million crypto-enabled merchants, Litecoin-enabled merchants specifically, right? So they can now spend Litecoin and buy Litecoin using the Spend Visa card, right? And the Spend Visa card is hooked into the Visa network. Visa network has over 40 million merchants in it. And those 40 million merchants, can now accept money from anybody paying them with the Spend Visa card. That's 40 million merchants if you've got one of these cards. That's a lot, right? That's, if you have a Spend Visa and your Litecoin's connected to it, the world is your oyster, in a sense. The Spend app allows you to buy and sell over 16 cryptos directly from a bank account and transfer the funds to over 180 countries worldwide. And all crypto, including Bitcoin and XRP, is first converted into Canadian dollars, US dollars, or euros on the Spend wallet. And then into the local fiat, it's loaded on the Spend Visa card for purchases in ATMs worldwide. Right? So you exchange your crypto for fiat, it loads on your card, and you've got that amount on your card. And this is incredible for mass adoption. Now, you're going to tell me, well, it's just one credit card. There's so many credit cards out there. How does this change the market? One step at a time. One step at a time. There are other cards coming. There are other cards on the market. There are other cards coming. There are other wallets on the market. The ecosystem is growing, not shrinking, okay? Yes, thousands of projects went away last year because they had no supporters or active investors or anything. They were just, a lot of them were bad, right? The garbage out. The new stuff comes in. You always want to separate the wheat from the chaff, right? This kind of adoption of a Visa card, a debit card, where you can put money on there right from your crypto wallet, and you can put Litecoin, buy and sell your Litecoin, buy and sell any kind of crypto that you really want, of the popular ones that they allow, convert it to fiat and, spend fiat through any of the Visa accepting merchants around the world. That is a very practical gateway, right? It's not just an on-ramp and an off-ramp. It's a fluid one that works basically anywhere that takes Visa, which is a lot of different things that people typically use, right? Telecoms take Visa. Water companies take Visa. Electric companies take Visa. Some places you can rent a house with Visa, right? You can pay your rent with Visa. Not everywhere, I know, but some places you can. There's no shortage of things. You go to a restaurant, you probably pay with Visa. You order food to your house to be delivered, you might pay with Visa. There's no shortage, right? You might pay for magazine subscriptions with your Visa. You might pay for concert tickets with your Visa. You might buy software with your Visa. You might pay for your website domain name registration with your Visa. There's no shortage of things people do with their Visa cards, right? They do just like MasterCard or American Express. They use them as if it was cash, practically. Because effectively, your money has been digitized ever since you went to a credit card or debit card system with your finances, right? So you're already using digital money. Now you can also use cryptocurrency digital money. And you can use it without thinking about converting it or, passphrases or anything like that. Gumming up the works, right? It's a fluid on-ramp, off-ramp. This is how it happens. Remember, we always just, I've always been saying, everyone says, well, not everyone, but smart marketers will tell you, build your marketing when the chips are down. And we've been saying for a long time now already, the chips are falling, the chips are down, start building stuff, because the upcycle comes faster than you think. And when it starts to happen, if you're not in place, if you're not in a position to win, when the next upcycle comes, guess what? It's going to be much harder to win, if not impossible. So don't get stuck out in the cold doing nothing. It's cold outside. Get inside, start building on what you can. If you're doing something outside, get outside, start building what you can. Do whatever you can during this crypto winter to build your future. Don't waste your time just dreaming about how great it's going to be when things are going to be up again. That's useless. Get out there, make your fingers bleed, man or woman. Get your content made, get your marketing plans in place, get those customers lined up. Because look at that. You now have 40 million merchants who can accept crypto through a Visa card. And again, this is not the first card that accepts money like this. It's just the latest, and it's making the rounds because Litecoin has had a good run. And so Litecoin is in the news with it. Great. Right? That's just terrific. And every other coin that's got interest in this market niche. There's interest in what we do. There's interest in our competitors. There's interest in this area. That's growing, right? That's growth. That's how you make it happen. May seem like a little puffy story to some people, but this is part of the story arc that the marketers at the Spend app need. And it's frankly part of the story arc that marketers in the ecosystem need. Right? And I'm not paid by Spend or anybody or Litecoin or anything like that to tell you this stuff. This is just clearly good marketing strategy, long term. Get this thing out there now while nobody cares about it. Get some customers, and by the time anybody cares about Spend app again in the news, like really cares, right? By the time there's an upcycle on their way, they'll already have 1,000, 2,000, 10,000, 100,000, a million customers, whatever it'll be. Some number worthy of a piece of news. When everyone hears that piece of news, and when everyone's feeling the urge to buy, guess what website they're going to go to? Right? They're going to go check out the Spend app. They're going to go check out the Spend card. And if it's an easy enough and fun enough and good enough, positive enough experience, they're going to get it. As long as they qualify. Right? I know. Void where prohibited. Some restrictions apply or whatever. That's what they have to say in the commercials. No. Seriously. Think about that. Think about how this is going to affect mass adoption. Think about how your marketing strategy can do something similar by launching now something daring, bold, over the top, way out there, even if it's been done before. Something that makes it super easy, brainless, a no questions at like what is the expression? A no-brainer, right? Make a no-brainer now. Now is the time. Make your no-brainer now and make your no-brainer marketing strategy. Roll it out starting now if you haven't already. And start pushing forward because this is the time. I don't care if people say we're not at the exact lows. Whatever. We're close enough. Okay. The all-time high has fallen 85%, 80%, 85%, whatever the hell it was. For some coins, 95%, 99%. Doesn't matter if it goes down anymore. If you've been hodling from the top, you've lost everything anyway. What do you care? Another 15% of nothing? Practically? Wait till it gets to the bottom. If you're still not sure it's there, start your accumulation. But that's for, I don't care about that. That's not the channel, not the topic for this channel. Certainly not for this episode. What I do care about is that as a marketer, you don't waste your time thinking, oh, are we exactly at the bottom? It's irrelevant. Push your idea forward now. Don't wait for somebody to give you permission. Don't sit and wonder, oh man, if only times were good, I could sell this thing. No. Times are awesome. Sell the thing now. They're going to be more awesome later. When the economy collapses around you and getting 100 grand will seem infinitely more impossible than it is to get $1 million right now. Do it now. Don't waste your time. Anyway, that's what I have to say about that. Thank you again for listening. I just want to remind everybody, if you're watching us on YouTube or something, click the old subscribe button and check out our Patreon page if you want. You don't have to, obviously. No, we're not even asking you to, but if you'd like, we'd appreciate it. And, of course, like, subscribe, comment, follow, get the notifications if that still works for you. In case you don't know, Google's getting rid of a bunch of notifications soon, so you may lose that ability anyway, but by all means subscribe, and that way you'll be notified when we post the videos. And come on back for another live session if you want to join the chat at some point, or if you want to join our VIP room, contact us. Our clients, our VIP clients, get access to our live chat room, so you can always jump in there. So if you want to know more about that, check out our site, yashaharari.com. And until next time, folks, take care.